Okay, coming at you from the not too distant past, week 22 of 2025. It is Monday in Millwood Land, Memorial Day. Didn't say that in the last one. No way you can place my weeks to whatever type of calendar you use. I like counting time by weeks. Months seem arbitrary. Anyway, just the tiniest bit of levity and why I decided to record those the previous talkie video before this one, because as you noticed from the title on here, and I didn't plan for this to be a multi-part series, but some things came up, so we're gonna have to talk about Microsoft again one more time. It'll probably be the last time, because I doubt my opinion's gonna change. And I'm not here to just badger and hate, but I've used Microsoft for quite some time, and interesting the effects of that over time on a user. Because I just realized recently they had me fooled for a long time on something that's not particularly important, but interesting that it finally comes up now. For decades, I believed this misconception that they've been pushing. To start you off, I was trying to get some music on a big ass USB, and 256 gigabyte, right? I decided I'm just gonna have everything with me all the time when I'm driving around. We're doing this. Got me one of those big ones on Amazon when they're on sale. Well, small form factor, so I could just shove it in the slot and not worry about it. Not have this big old thing sticking out of there. And it just doesn't work, right? I pop the thing in, and please insert USB. Oh, well, whatever. And it's working. It reads other media just fine. It's just this one drive. And I'm thinking about it. It dawns on me, I didn't actually format that drive. I just took it whatever it was already formatted as. I'll bet you it's not FAT32. And I'll bet you that's what it's going to take. That's the other smaller 32 gigabyte drive that I use right now. I made sure to make that a FAT32 for the best compatibility. Bet you I got to do that on this one. But wait, oh shit, there's volume size limits on FAT32, right? And I think I'm already at the limit with this smaller drive. I just bought me a big USB for no reason. It's not gonna work. Let me look that up and see how much can I get 64 out of it. Can I get 128? Is it actually 32? I'm thinking it's 32. It turns out it's not 32 gigabytes or 64 or 256 or a terabyte. It's actually technically, by limitations of the file system itself, 2 terabytes. But Microsoft intentionally nerfed FAT32 in Windows. Why? Because they wanted to make NTFS look better by comparison. Their file system that they were pushing at the time. They both have the same limit for volume size of 2 terabytes. So they just wanted to artificially create much wider adoption of their bullshit gimmick. Whatever you're gonna say about the difference between the two, volume size is not a problem. It should not be a problem. And it only is on, and now they're actually, interestingly enough, dropping that artificial restriction for Windows 11 only to make Windows 10 look artificially worse by default. Because now, for anybody who cares about FAT32 and accessing a larger volume than 32 gigabytes, well, Windows 11 can. It's like, you know what else can? Linux can. And in fact, you know, it almost reminds me of Sega does what Nintendo don't. But Linux does what Wind won't, or whatever the fuck. Window won't. How do we want to say that? So for all this time, I thought, and almost forgot, but it was still back there somewhere in the old memory banks here, that, oh well, you got a limited file size, volume size on that. No, not true. And yeah, now it doesn't even matter, right? They've moved on to exFAT, which is actually better than either of the two previously mentioned file systems for a few reasons, but compatibility is now an issue again, because NTFS is everywhere. I'm actually wondering if I can use NTFS on this thing and have it be read in my media player out there. Because the other option is to then restrict that drive only to being used, which may not be a problem very soon, as I'm going to be using the Windows 10 machine very little and no Windows 11 machines. Which again, I guess that doesn't matter, doesn't these sons of bitches? But yeah, that drive will be restricted to Linux if I make it a big 256 gig FAT32 volume. I'm tempted to try it on NTFS and just to see, format it, put a few things on there, see if it reads. I don't know. But that's the problem. Artificially imposed bullshit. And so that in itself, I was thinking about it, but I don't know if it would actually be a proper rant to put on here. Except for the fact that just recently here, a couple days ago now, I saw in the news that it was an article about recall and how that works, which, together with this information, the story that I shared from the week previous to that, they just really don't respect us as consumers and customers. They really don't. So the development team behind Signal, I don't even know who, I didn't pay enough attention. I don't actually use Signal myself, but secure private messaging app is their whole purpose, right? They realized that recall on Copilot Plus machines or whatever the hell is actually taking pictures of these secure and private messages and then storing them in a local database or whatever the hell, so therefore it's not secure, it's not private, it's searchable, you know, not a good deal. And there's no way to turn that off with the exception of using the copyrighted material protection function. Then Windows recall everything will respect that. We won't take any pictures of that. And yeah, so the end result is the same. They're able to lock down their messaging from the recording, and people that use the app are now confident that recall, even if turned on, is not going to snag their shit. But why is it by default for the media corporations who don't own that copy of Windows and aren't operating the machine that recall is running on, instead of the consumer who is and does? Or does and is, I don't remember what order I said whatever in, right? I mean, they're giving more control to Universal or goddamn Disney or BMI or whatever the hell than they are to you and the people who care about keeping your information secure and private. So again, I'm so happy. Like, thank the computing gods that I've been putting in a lot of work. Every single machine I've set up since 2018 has been Linux, either by default, like the Steam Deck, which of course, you know, I'm intentionally using that as a feature, with the others came with Windows. Well, I'm making the choice to install one flavor of Linux or another on whatever it is that I'm building, buying, setting up, whatever it happens to be. And I'm so glad, because now is the time to do these things. Now is the end. There's a great team of people working on application compatibility for Linux, for SteamOS, with Wine, with Proton, with developers that actually understand and get it and are putting their stuff out on Linux. If not first, then in addition to Windows, sometimes even before, in a lot of cases, even before Apple. It's good to be supported. That makes this change easier. As hard as Microsoft tried to make it with locking everybody in, arbitrarily making their thing they were trying to push seem better than the alternative, much like they're doing with Windows 11, I'm not buying it anymore. I'm out of the ecosystem, and whatever it takes. If a game doesn't work on SteamOS, I don't want it. If an application doesn't work on Linux, I'm not using it. I don't need it. There's enough options elsewhere. But I said that all in the last one. That's why I wanted to record the one in between, because, yeah, there's nothing new here. Just another sign. Now is the time. I'm so glad. 25 is the last year that I'll use any Windows machine as my primary workhorse, or really, yeah, I mean, this is gonna take some time. I'm gonna have to try different things, I'm sure, but I'm gone. I'm out of here. And on that note, I'm gone and I'm out of here from this recording too. You get these wrapped up, get them uploaded. Later this week, I'm gonna play some Terraria. Get that wrapped up. Get that uploaded. Should be some things coming real soon, if not already, in the gameplay arena. And yeah, I guess that's all I gotta say. I'm gonna get out of here and put my finger over the magic button that stops the recording to say the magic words. Everything's magic today. Alright then.